After this, the king of the Ammonites died, and Hanun, his son, reigned in his place. And David said, I will deal loyally with Hanun, the son of Nahash, forgive me with these names here, and his father dealt loyally with me. So David sent by his servants to console him concerning his father, and David's servants came into the land of the Ammonites. But the princes of the Ammonites said to Hanun their lord, do you think because David has sent comforters to you that he is honoring your father? Has David not sent his servants to you to search the city and to spy it out and overthrow it? So Hanun took David's servants and shaved off half the beard of each and cut off their garments in the middle at their hips and sent them away. Other translations, yeah, that one. The garments at their buttocks and sent them away. Now, y'all are big kids. Do you guys know what a buttocks is, or do I need to explain it? It's a booty, right? It's booty cheeks, okay? They cut off their garments at their butts, and they spanked them, and they sent them on their way and said, go back home after they were humiliated. It's kind of funny, it is. But when you understand the context of the story, it gets a little bit less funny. So we're going to forget about it for a few and then come back to it. I wanted to share a story with you guys. You may have seen it. I saw it. I was probably scrolling on TikTok. You ever go to tell somebody a story and you're like, I read this in an article, and you saw it on TikTok? That's what I feel like. But it was a video of Elon Musk. Okay, this isn't political. Don't get there. But he was starting this big event that he had. He brought in all kinds of millionaires, all these rich people, all these investors to this big event. They hyped it up for this new and innovative car, okay, that was indestructible, and it was futuristic, and nothing had ever been done like it before. And you could shoot a gun at it, and it would be bulletproof, right? It's this big car. You guys would know it as the Cybertruck today. I think it's ugly, too. What? Got some Cybertruck haters. What do you drive, like a Ford? Okay. I'm just sorry. Okay, hey, you're distracting me. So he's at this big event, and they're hyping up the Cybertruck. This is indestructible. It's unlike anything that's ever been done before. To prove it to you, we're going to throw a metal ball at the window, and we're going to show you that nothing can penetrate through this armored glass on this car. So they threw it, and of course it shatters into a million pieces. And so Elon makes a joke. He's like, I think that you threw it too hard. Let's try the back window. And so this billionaire, he's one of the most influential people in the world, if not just the nation. They throw this metal ball at the back window, and that one shatters too. Okay. And it's funny because this event that has millions, if not billions of dollars probably riding on this big thing, this Cybertruck that nothing's ever been done before. Elon Musk at the time has a lot of credibility to his name, and this whole thing just backfires. It blows up in his face. I think it's hilarious. He probably did not. I'm sure people got fired, but he's humiliated. And I think it goes to show that no matter who you are, no matter what you've done, where you've been, no matter your achievements, nobody's invincible, right? Nobody's a superhero. Nobody's Superman. Let's just be real for a second. Say, I'm human too. Mistakes can happen. Luke chapter 17 and verse 1 says, it's impossible that offenses will not come, but woe to him through whom they come. So it's impossible for you to live your life and not get offended, right? Somebody says something, it offends you. You can't escape it. It's probably already happened. If I've not offended you already today, it's probably going to happen. Pastor Luke's probably offended you. I hope not, but it may have happened. Your friends offend you. Your family offends you. Your coworkers, it's offense, and it happens to everybody. It's impossible to escape. Pretty fun, right? If you can't escape it, you have to learn to deal with it. So that's what I want to talk to you guys about today, is just dealing with this offense. In New Zealand, 41% of the birds are flightless, okay? They do not have natural predators, so generations and generations have gone by. They don't need to fly away from anything to protect themselves, so they just have lost the ability to fly. 41% of the birds. If you were to go to New Zealand, this island, right, and you were to be there, all the birds would just be hopping around, and they kind of have wings, but they're more like nubs now, okay? That's just what it looks like. But generation after generation, they have lost their ability to fly because there's no harm that's been done to them. And if you want that life, you can try to have it, but the Lord's word says very clearly that offense will come. But if you want to soar like an eagle, you have to face some opposition in your life. Airplanes need wind to fly. If you've ever been on an airplane, you fly against the wind to get that lift off, right? It's kind of exciting, your stomach flips, but you need that wind, that opposition against the plane to help it fly. And if you never face this opposition, you'll never mount up with wings like eagles. If you don't go through attack, you'll never learn how to overcome offense. Opposition enables you to do things that you could not do. Had you overcome that obstacle, it gives you that lift off. It will lift off your prayer life. It will lift off your spiritual life and your relationship with God. It will lift off your friendships. It will lift off your relationships with your family and your coworkers and your work life, your finance. It will lift it off if you can just overcome the oppositions that we are all bound to face. God requires you to go through opposition because he knows that it will take you higher. And some context behind that verse that we read in the very beginning in 2 Samuel, David was the king of Israel. His friend had died, and his friend's son had been, he's now the lord of this kingdom called the Ammonites. And he thinks this, my friend Nahash was always kind to me, right? He was always a good man. He did me loyally, so I'm going to do the same to him. I'm going to do this custom that they had in this time. We would kind of do something similar if maybe a ruler of another country had passed that we had relationship with. They sent somebody on their behalf to say, hey, my condolences to you. So King David, he's ruling over Israel, and he sends his two best warriors, his two bulkiest warriors, the warriors that have won them everything, that have got Israel to where they are. He sends these two people, and somewhere along the way, somebody gets in this king's ear, this young prince now become king. They get in his ear, and they say, do you really think that he'd send his two mightiest men to send their condolences to show honor to you? No, they're sending these mighty warriors to come in and attack us, to take our land, right, to probably kill us. And they get in the king's ear. So when they get there, the two warriors were falsely accused. Even though they were sent by the king following orders, catch that. You can be doing all of the right things. You can be following in the path that God has for you, that the Lord has told you this is your path, and you can be following all the right path on the king's orders, but you can still face opposition. And we see that happening here. So they falsely accused them, and they humiliated them, ordering half their beard to be cut off, and for their skirts or their robes to be cut all the way up to their buttocks and expose their rear ends. They made them look like babies, and they sent them home humiliated. So you can talk about being offended, right? But this is real offense that's happening. When they shaved off their beards, what that was a symbol of is taking away their pride, taking away their strength, taking away their honor that they had as these mighty warriors. They sent them home as completely different people. They almost took their identity from them and sent them back home and said, go tell your king about this place that you've come to honor, right? I think if we were to look at other biblical characters, you have Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego who were thrown into the fire. You've got Daniel who is thrown into the lion's den. That's real opposition. That's real attack, right? These guys are facing something different. It's not necessarily a physical attack, right? They're not dying, but they're humiliated. This is an emotional attack. This is an attack on who they are. And they sent them home like children. So if you're doing God's will in your life, if you're hanging around people that are doing God's will, I just want to tell you, you will get offended and nobody is exempt from it. Isn't that beautiful? If you're serving on the parking team, I guarantee you've been serving and you're waving and you got the smile on your face. Maybe you're the person in the car. I'm not here to call anybody out. And they roll their eyes because they don't want to be there and they had all this traffic, right? Or you're coming in and these people are waving at you and then somebody rolls their eyes on the way in, or they brush you off and don't even act like you. Right? If you're serving in the Lord's house, you might get offended, okay? You might get offended by the people that you're serving. You might get offended by the leaders that you're there with. Welcome to life. People are going to hurt your feelings, right? So David hears what happened, and instead of having the whole city come in and see them humiliated when they returned home, he hears what happens, and he says, go to Jericho. Jericho means, the translation is sweet place. Until their beards grow back, stay in the sweet place. I'm reminded of of this covering that King David kind of has over them. He doesn't want the city to see them humiliated. He wants to kind of preserve that they've gone to do this good thing. And I'm reminded of the story of the prodigal son when he goes and he squanders everything he's been given. He's covered in muck and dirt, and he looks a mess, and he finally comes home running to his father's arms, and his father already has a robe ready for him, and he covers him up so the people around them can't see what he's been through. Aren't you thankful for a king, for a God that covers us? So he tells them to go to Jericho and stay sweet for a little while till you get fully clothed, till your beards grow back. Don't get mad. Don't get angry. Stay sweet for a little while. I know what they did was bad to you. I know that it hurt you. I know that they wronged you. And I know you feel like a completely different person than you were when you got sent out to do that thing. But go to Jericho. Everything's going to be okay. Go to the sweet place and let your beard grow back. It's going to be okay. Say to the person next to you, say, your beard's going to grow back. Sorry, girls. But David tells them, y'all added in something else too. What are you saying? They're ugly? Be nice. If you need to apologize, do now. No, but why is it so hard to stay sweet when we get offended, right? When somebody really wrongs us, when we really get humiliated, when something really bad happened to us, why is it so hard to stay sweet, right? To turn the other cheek, if you will. No, I want to get mad. I want to kick somebody. I want to punch something, and I want to do some damage, right? It's hard to stay sweet. Why is that? But he tells them to Jericho as a warning. Instead of reacting out of hurt, he advised them not to retaliate because they're offended, but go to this place, let your beard grow back, get better, have patience in your healing process, and don't lash out in pain. And I love how the scriptures describe God. Of course, God is a God of love, right? He is a God, he is healer, right? He is He is healer. He is a kind God, right? Our Savior. But it also says this in Romans chapter 12 and verse 9. It says, vengeance is mine, says the Lord. Let God handle your justice, right? Let God handle your vengeance. Can I just say, God is also a God of justice and vengeance. He'll take care of that person. Nothing gets by without God knowing about it. And the scriptures say two things are God's. They are not ours, they are God's. And it's very clear on this. The first thing is vengeance is God, and the second thing is tithe is God's. Those things, you shouldn't touch them. They are not yours. They are God's to deal with, okay? God has put kind of a holy separateness of saying these are mine, these are not yours to touch. And vengeance is one of those things. He doesn't take it lightly. And if you'll just go to Jericho and stay sweet for a little while, your beard will grow back. Take time, clothe yourself, and then go back home. And if you're saying, well, what about vengeance? I haven't seen it. The scriptures say that vengeance is mine. They are God's. So nobody's getting by on God's watch. And I'll tell you this too, if you let God have the vengeance, his vengeance is better. His plan is better. His ways are higher than anything you could conjure up in your brain. His ways are higher. The best thing you can do is stay sweet and let God take care of it. I know what they did to you hurt. I know that you have a real reason to be offended. But if you just give it to God and let him take care of it, his ways are higher and better. And he watches when we get offended. He saw everything that happened to you. He knows that thing that you just can't get over. And the verses go on to say that God sent David and an army to go back to the Ammonites and wipe them out. There was nothing left of them. God's vengeance truly was sweeter than anything that those two men could have done. They were warriors. I'm sure they wanted to throw a fit and prove that they were warriors, right? But no, when it was God's plan, they wiped them out completely. There wasn't a trace of the people that humiliated them when God was done. Even Jesus on the cross knew that there was a God of vengeance, right? After everything that had happened, he was brutally beaten on the cross. He died a death that he did not deserve. But right before that, what did he say on the cross? He said, Lord, forgive them, for they know not what they do. He knew that God would avenge him had he not said, Lord, forgive them. And he was teaching us how to forgive others too. So God asks you to stay sweet. Stop letting your thoughts consume what has happened to you. Stop letting that event that happened consume every waking minute, every conversation you have to where you're bleeding on people, right? Vengeance is his, and at some point we need to let God deal with it and move on. And it's harder to do it than to say it, but we do need to let God deal with it and move on. Picture this with me. And this one's a little funny too, but offense and unforgiveness, when left undealt with, when you keep God out of it, kind of start to begin to grow. And if you picture a physical growth, maybe a tumor, okay, let's say you got a big tumor on your back. That's what unforgiveness and offense is like when it's not dealt with. It's awkward, it's sore, it puts you on edge every time somebody comes around you in case they're going to touch that sore spot or they're going to look at you funny. You're walking around like the hunchback of Notre Dame because you've got this unforgiveness. You're walking with this weight, and it's very evident to the people around you. It's like having an open wound that never heals. So you're fighting with people all the time, the people that didn't even do that thing to you, but it kind of feels like maybe they know, or like they're kind of poking that wound that somebody else did to you all those times ago. You're fighting with the wrong people. For some reason, it just feels like you can't get over it. That's what unforgiveness and offense are like. And I heard it said like this: unforgiveness turns into cynicism. It is a thief dressed like a security guard to rob you of authenticity between you and God. When we have unforgiveness in our lives and we don't deal with it, it hardens our hearts. It makes us angry at other people. We get this mentality of, I'm not letting anybody else in to hurt me again. I can do it all on my own. And that isolates us not just from everybody around that could hurt us, but from our relationship with God. It robs us of an authentic bond between you and the Lord when you keep this unforgiveness in your heart. And we make excuses too. 4 things that we say when we can't forgive others. The first thing, I can't forgive because it's too big. What they did to me was too big. What they've done was too big, right? The bigger the offense, the more you need to heal it. That's just how it is, and I'm not even going to elaborate on that because that's the truth of it. The second thing, time will heal it, okay? Time does not heal offense. It lets it fester, and it lets it grow. Picture that tumor on your back. It lets it get nasty. You're walking around, you're stinking, you're bleeding on people. Time does not heal all wounds. It does not heal the wound of unforgiveness. Forgiveness is the only thing that can heal it. Forgiveness is the only weapon against that. The third thing people say, I'll forgive when they say, I'm sorry. Y'all ever said that? Can we be real? I'll forgive when they say, I'm sorry. One of my favorite quotes on forgiveness goes like this: the scenery of your life should not look like the pit that person dragged you into. So look in the mirror. You're walking around with this lump on your back. You're looking like the hunchback, and they're at, I don't know, Kings Island sipping on a blue ice cream, and they're having the time of their life, and you're walking around looking crazy. What are you doing? That's what unforgiveness makes us look like. It makes us look ridiculous. If they're the one that hurt you in the first place, why do you want your healing to hinge on that person's words? The fourth thing, if I forgive them, they'll just do it again. And that's true, but it's also more incentive to forgive, because now you don't just have one lump on your back. You have one on your arm don't work right. You have one on your knees don't work right. You can't even walk, you're hobbling, right? That's what unforgiveness truly looks like. And it's funny to look at it, but it is true. You can't let somebody else's choices hold the keys to your healing and what God can do in your life. You have to get to Jericho. You have to get to that sweet place. I love in the Bible, Job lost everything. He lost his family. He lost his kids. He lost his finances. He lost everything. Anything you could think, he lost it, gone. But he still praised God in everything he did. And I'm closing with this. I read this story of somebody by the name of Aaron Ralston. If you've seen the film 127 Hours, it's fairly popular. It's about him. And he's this hiker, this climber, and he gets trapped in a canyon, right? At some point along his journey, there's a boulder that kind of falls on part of his arm, and he's completely trapped. For 5 days, 127 hours, he has no help, no food, no water, and he made a choice that he wasn't going to die there. 5 days of that, he was stuck. But he made a choice that he wasn't going to die there. And this is a little bit gross, but bear with me. Using a dull multi-tool, he actually severed his own forearm to escape. And then he rappelled down a 65-foot drop and hiked 6 miles before being rescued. That's a hard time, right? He went on to write about the experience, and thinking back on that awful moment, he said, "This rock has been waiting for me for my entire life." And he refused to die in that canyon. The number one goal of the enemy is to get you mad at God. It's to separate you from God, and he's been working his entire life to distract you from the goodness of God, for the path that God has for you. And he loves to use offense to do it. He loves to get us mad at God. He loves to get us mad at the people around us. He loves to get us mad at ourselves. So we've all got this hurt that we've experienced. We've all been at this point where we're bleeding and we've got this boulder on our arm, right? We've all got that tumor. We've all been humiliated. Can we just be real in church for a second? I hate that there's this idea sometimes in church that we have to have it all together. We've all been there. We've all been bleeding. We've all been stuck. We've all got family wounds, and you're not alone in that, but you can't lie down in this self-pity and die either. You have to find this point in your life where you have to call out the unforgiveness and say, this offense has been waiting its entire life to get me. This offense has been waiting its entire life to be right here between a rock and a hard place in me, but I'm not going to let pain rewrite my future. Acts 14 and verse 22 says we must go through many tribulations to enter the kingdom of God. See, you're going to get there, but not without tribulation in your life, not without that boulder. You've got to cut yourself off and keep moving. John 16 and verse 33 says, I've told you these things so that in me you may have peace. In this world you will have trouble, but take heart, I have overcome the world. We're all going through it, but sometimes you just got to make that drop and decide to keep going, that 65-foot drop, and say, I'm going to keep going. Proverbs 24 and verse 10 says, if you falter in a time of trouble, how small is your strength. I love that verse. Do not quit. If you falter in a time of trouble, how small is your strength? Notice how it says there, not how small is the strength of the person that hurt you, but if you falter in a time of trouble, how small is your strength? You've still got 6 miles to go. I know it hurts. I know you're bleeding. I know you've not eaten. I know you're weak, but you've got 6 miles to go. And at some point, if you quit, it's your strength that's small. Stop blaming everybody else for your problems, for your tumors. You have the key to surgery right here. You have an entire book about generations of people who have been hurt by others, an entire book about somebody who was wronged worse than anybody I could imagine, and his name was Jesus. And the Lord wrote about the key to forgiveness, the key to that boulder that's got you stuck, and it's forgiveness. If you're facing unforgiveness, it's really cool. Just remove the N and start forgiving people. That's what this entire book is about, how he's forgiven you and how he's forgiven me. And we need to extend that forgiveness toward others to escape this pain that we're in. Without it, we will be trapped. So stay sweet and go to Jericho. People are going to hate you in life. People are going to hurt you. People will do you wrong. Don't get angry. Don't get bitter. Don't get mad. Don't get mean. Go to Jericho. If you stay sweet, watch God avenge you. Watch how God will bless you. Watch how God will double your portion so much to where you have so much blessing in your life, you have no clue what to do with it than to pour out to other people and bless others. When you do the right thing, it will be the hardest thing you've ever done. I love when we talk about forgiveness in sermons. It's always so uplifting, but I feel like they always leave out the part that forgiveness is one of the hardest things you'll ever do too. Sometimes it truly feels like cutting a piece of yourself off to forgive those other people that truly wronged you. But it's the opposition that brings the revelation, and I'm so thankful that even though the pain is real, even though it really happened, the blessing on the other side of that pain is also real. When it has its claws in you deep, forgiveness is the only thing that will bring blessing in your life. So I don't know what that person said to you. I don't know who's talked down to you. I don't know that situation that you've been thinking of the entire time I've been saying this. But I do know what the Bible says, and it says joy comes in the morning. Can we do something together? Can we just get out of our seats and just give God a little bit of joy? It's going to feel weird. It's going to feel awkward, but can we give him a shout of praise? Because at some point, he's the only person that can get you out of this place. At some point, you have to sit there when your back's against the wall and say, God, I'm not going to let this get me down. I'm not going to let this situation turn my life around. I'm not going to let it rewrite my story. God, I give you the opportunity to heal my heart, and that's through forgiveness. The opposition is lifting you higher. And stay standing with me, if you will. Because it's opposition that brings the revelation. The enemy wants you mad at God, mad at others, and mad at yourself, and he wants you to quit. But we need a group of young people that are truly willing to say, God, I'm not going to quit. I'm not going to give up. I know I've been hurt, but I know that you can use me through that. Lord, I know when I get to heaven, you're going to wipe every tear from my eye. And I want to hear those words, well done, good and faithful servant. And I know that that takes me right now in this room, Lord, saying, I forgive them. And I don't want to, but I'm not going to throw in the towel. And it hurts, and it's unimaginable what was done to me. But I'm not going to give up now. In Matthew, Peter asked Jesus how many times he should forgive the people that wronged us, that wronged him. And Jesus says, forgive them 70 times 7. You don't need to do the math because it's not about keeping score. It's about losing count. When people wrong me, I want to be reminded 70 times 7. God, they did it again, 70 times 7. But God, this feeling is coming back up again. I thought I forgave them, but maybe I didn't. I don't know if I can get 70 times 7. 70 times 7. That's a calling in the Bible, in that story. It's 70 times 7. It's not just for them, it's for you. 70 times 7 for that person that hurt you, for that situation that's causing you hurt. 70 times 7. I'm not here to call people out. I do hear people say sometimes, I feel like the Lord's calling me to this. And fill in the blank there. I feel like the Lord's calling me to take a step back from church. I feel like the Lord's pushing me in the direction to take a step back from serving because this happened and I don't like this person on the team. I'm not trying to call anybody out. I'm not trying to say God didn't call you to something you said he did. But what I am saying is when I read my Bible, when I read what he has called us to, it's not to take a step back, it's to take a step forward, and the only way to do that is forgiveness. 70 times 7.